Strategy is fan and pick with quadratic equations. Again, we're using Study Island. Excellent place to get our resources. So for that, I took the Study Island questions. Oh, that doesn't look good there. Hold on. Let me go here. Here we go. So the Study Island questions, once it comes up, and I took them from Study Island for key functions of quadratic equations. I picked about 25 of them to make sure we have enough for every single student to have one. And on here, okay, so we're just going to look at, oh, here we go. So these are really big. So some of these I resized some of the graphs so they wouldn't be as big. Some of them I left pretty big because with the graphs, they're showing up basically taking up half of the page. When you're doing quiz, trade, you try to put a whole bunch on one page. Those are taking up a lot of the page. But again, I put the standard at the top so I would know in the future when I saved these, this one went with standard AR 3.7, which is the key functions. This is graphing, but yeah, key functions of the quadratic equation, graphing it and interpreting it. So that is part of still the key functions. And then there are answer choices A, B, C, D. On the back of these, I'm going to write A, B, C, or D for the answer. There is an explanation page. There's also an answer page. So what I'm going to give you is a baggie full of questions, and then as well as the answers separately with the standard at the top. And this goes with fan and pick. So fan and pick, let me find the fan and pick one. Let me just open it here. So this is a good one if you don't want them to get up. You know what? This is a class that cannot handle walking around the room. We're going to sit, but we're still going to do some engagement and some Kagan strategies. So fan and pick. You have your cards. So maybe you separate them, so many cards per group, maybe 5 cards per group, 5 groups, 5 cards. You fan the cards out, the first person does. The second person picks a card. They read the question out loud. The third person answers the question. The fourth person responds to the answer. This could be, great job. I like how you did that with the graph and how you knew that this one was over here because it was a negative and you knew this one was over here. Or it could be a follow-up question, or they could rephrase it. You can say, I agree that that's correct because you said that for, say, number 2, I agree that was correct because you said that the axis of symmetry is on the vertical line that passes through the vertex of the graph of the quadratic equation. I agree with that because that's what I learned as well. I hear you saying that this function, the axis of symmetry, passes through x equals 3, and it showed that on the graph, so I get that. Then you rotate roles. So there's 4 people in a group. Sorry, I didn't say 5. I should say 4. 4 people in a group. 4 people. First person fans a card. Second person picks a card, reads it out loud. Third person answers the question. Fourth person responds. Then it switches. Now the second person becomes the one who fans a card. Then they read. Then they respond. And they follow up. And they rotate. So again, so here's some phrases you can teach them. Pick a card, any card. So you're teaching them stems, sentence stems. I really think that it's cool that, what did you think about? Is that one of, something like that. So that way you have, well, that's for non-academic. We're doing academic. So you got your answer by, or let's look this over and check this work. So you may want to have some dry erase markers or some paper pencil. I liked your first step. However, you did a fantastic job. This is a great response. I agree with you because, or do you think there's another way to get the same answer? How? So that's teaching them how to have a conversation, how to have academic vocabulary, how to have a conversation, how to respond appropriately to each other. This also helps our students who are still learning English. This is excellent because you're giving them the sentence phrases. So I would be reviewing this before you start. It's nice to start with some non-academic stuff too. So if you want to do this, you want me to find something else that's non-academic, practice using the fan and pick with a non-academic fun activity. So they practice using their phrases and they practice activity, but then you can also use it with this one. So this is fan and pick, but it is going over the key functions of quadratic equations. Again, I got the printable worksheet from Study Island. Again, I printed, I kept the answer choices there. I put it to 25. I opened it in Word. I moved some of the problems to make sure that all of number, ooh, that looks horrible. Something didn't work there. So something looked, everything looked right. I moved maybe number 3 down. I also put at the top of the page the standard that we're working on. So I took off all of this stuff and I put the standard that we were working on currently. Made sure some of these I resized some of the graphs so it would fit on the page. And then did the insert and page break where I needed to. So that is how you do fan and pick with the quadratic equations. And you can see when I did this, I'm putting them, these are bigger. I kept the graphs pretty big because I want them to make sure they can see them, understand them. You can also reuse all of these papers for every single period because they should not be writing on the paper. You do not write on the paper. If you want them to have some sort of evidence, like the scavenger hunt activity, you may have them one sheet of paper with the questions they received and the answer they had, and they turn that in. Again, the answers are on the back. So there should be no reason why they don't have the correct answer because the letter is literally on the back of the paper. So, and it was put there because I wrote it there. So when you're doing this on your own, you may have to put those letters on the paper if you want them to have the correct answers. So, and again, this is the explanation so you can review it later. Go over it with them. Is there any questions anybody had any problems with when we did the fan and pick? Okay, number 6. Let's go over number 6. You have what to say, what to do, what it should look like, and then they can kind of talk about where did they get tripped up. So what did they understand and where did they get tripped up? This is key functions of quadratic equations using fan and pick, a Kagan strategy.